So today in math, we are looking at the word half, and we're also going to review and learn some more about clocks. Are you ready? I'm ready. Let's go. All right. So today we're going to really talk about the word half. Now we have already talked a lot about this word half, and sometimes we write it like this. Lots of different things. So if I look at my circle and I split it in half, I split it into two equal pieces, right? Then we also talked about it. If I draw some 10 sticks here, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, and I say half of 60 is what? Well, I know that I need to split those 10 sticks in two groups. So I can show 1 and then 2. And so in each group is 10, 20, 30. So I know half of 60 is 30. Okay, so that's just a little reminder as to what half means. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to take this a little further, and we're going to talk about half with our clock. Remember we learned how to tell time a little bit? Okay, well, just as a reminder, if I split my circle in half, that's what it looks like. And the same thing happens with our clock. What we learned before was that if our minute hand is pointing at the 12, sorry, that's not exactly on the 12, but pretend it is, it is maybe, and our hour hand is at the 3, it's 3 o'clock. Now we're going to change it so that we don't always have the minute hand pointing at the 12 like we did last time. So let me draw my line again. So now we're going to talk about when the minute hand is pointing the opposite way down at the 6. And we might still be pointing close to the 3. So we know it's still 3, but now instead of o'clock, which used to be this, 0, 0, when it points at the 6, it is 3:30. Now that is cool, because remember that number 30, let's jump back. Half of 60 is 30. Do you know how many minutes is in our whole clock? It's 60. So there's 60 minutes in that whole clock. So when it's pointing halfway is at the middle, down at the 6, that's 30. That's pretty cool, isn't it? Okay, now let's practice some more. So, here's our clock. Now before, we'd always have it point at the 12. And no matter where that little hand was pointing, so the long hand is our minute hand, pointing at the 12, that always means o'clock, so 0, 0. What hour was it? It's pointing, the short hand, the hour hand, is pointing at the 8, so it's 8 o'clock. Now if we change that, let's start over again. And the long hand is pointing at the 6. And now we know the 6 means it's 30. But what hour is it? Now here's where it gets a little tricky. Because when it's at the 30, your hour hand isn't going to be pointing exactly to a number like it used to. Remember when it used to point exactly to the 8? It doesn't do that anymore. It's in between. So I have to think. A clock moves this way. All the hands. So my hand right now has went past the 8. But is it to the 9 yet? Has it been able to point to the 9 yet? No, so it's not 9 o'clock yet. It's still 8. So it's 8:30. Okay. Now we can go again. And we can point at the 6. And remember, it's not going to point exactly at our numbers. So let's jump here. My hour hand is pointing in between the 10 and 11. You got to think. First comes the 10, then comes the 11. Has it gotten to the 11 yet? No, that's the number it's going to point at next. So it's still 10. And I know when my long hand points at that 6, it's 30. 10, 30. Let's try one more together, okay? Okay. So this time, let's point over this direction. Let's go right here. We're still pointing at the 6. Let's look at this pointer hand here. So we know it goes 12, and then we jump to 1. And then we got to go to the 2. Now, has my arrow gotten to the 2 yet? Nope, it's still behind the 2. So it's still 1. And I know when my minute hand, my long hand, points to the 6, it's 30. So right now it's 1:30. Okay, let's do one just the other way. So this time, I'm going to write a time down at the bottom. So let's do 4:30. So sometimes you're going to practice this way, and you're going to see the time down at the bottom. Then you've got to draw it on the clock. So you know 30 means the long hand points at the 6. So I can do that right away. Make my really long hand pointing right at that 6. Now, this is the tricky part, the 4. I know when it's 30, it's not pointing exactly at the 4. It's going to be getting closer to 5. So we need to put it in between the 4 and the 5. Not quite to the 5 yet, but it's been past the 4. And so this is what we're going to be practicing today on your worksheet. You're going to practice some that point at the 12, so it'd be like 4 o'clock, and some that point at the 6, where it'd be like 4:30. Your front and your back is all clocks, so you're going to get really good at this. And that's all. So have fun, first grade, and I will see you next time.